It's no secret that food cravings are one of the main factors that disrupt weight loss efforts for a lot of people. It's often assumed that their occurrence can be put down to merely some type of nutritional deficiency. Also, since we need to cut calories in order to lose weight, it could make sense, in theory, that one other reason why food cravings come about is from the body simply wanting to replace the missing calories. Yet the literature suggests that these factors rarely explain their emergence. There's poor evidence showing cravings are due to nutritional deficiencies. Also, two independent systematic reviews found that when participants had success while dieting, it actually resulted in fewer food cravings, not more. So, what exactly causes food cravings then? Well, let's get to it. But first, as always, please take note of our disclaimer. To begin, an important distinction needs to be made between hunger, food cravings, and appetite to explain what gives rise to food cravings. These words are almost used synonymously with each other. Yet all you need to do is ask yourself, how often do you experience cravings for particular foods even when you're full? Or how often does stress or being depressed make you lose your appetite even though you haven't eaten for a meaningful amount of time, to see that they're not one in the same? In a nutshell, according to the Canadian Society of Intestinal Research, hunger is physiological. It happens due to biological changes in the body which provoke us to eat to maintain our energy levels. These include things like our stomach growling, weakness, and or a light-headed feeling. Conversely, appetite is the desire to eat in the general sense, while food cravings are the desire to eat a specific type of food with a certain flavor or texture. However, making a clear separation between hunger, appetite, and food cravings isn't exactly easy, as their causes may overlap to an extent. Anyway, for the purpose of today's topic, just remember that food cravings are defined as the desire to eat a particular type of food. So let's start off with how food cues cause food cravings. To understand this, we need to talk about a Russian Nobel Prize winning physiologist, Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. In the 1890s, Pavlov studied salivation in dogs in response to being fed. To do this, he inserted a small test tube into each dog's cheek to measure saliva. Initially, he expected the dogs to only salivate as his assistant placed food in front of them. However, Pavlov noticed that his dogs would even salivate whenever they heard his assistant's footsteps when he didn't have any food. When Pavlov discovered that any object or event would cause the same response that the dogs learned to associate with food, he realized that he made a significant scientific discovery: classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is an unconscious learning method and is the most straightforward way we learn. With food, these cues cause not only bodily responses such as salivation, but also behavioral responses like food seeking and subjective responses such as a strong craving to consume the food. In Pavlovian terms, when an unconditioned stimulus, like a particular food you enjoy, becomes repeatedly exposed to a conditioned stimulus, such as the sight, smell, or sound of that food, the brain will subconsciously learn to associate them. And when this happens, whenever you experience the same things again that you learned to associate with the food you liked, cravings for it can be brought about. For example, say you always have popcorn when you go to the cinema. This would mean that eventually several of the sensations you experience when going to the cinema, such as the sight of others eating popcorn, the sound of the crunch from popcorn, or the smell of popcorn as you walk into the movie theater, will become associated with having popcorn. Therefore, a combination of these elements strongly influences your craving for popcorn when you go to watch a film, rather than it just happening randomly. The point I am getting at here is that any cue can become associated with food cravings and contribute greatly to them. We experience numerous food cravings subconsciously every day, ranging from seeing advertisements on TV, smells when we walk past bakeries or fast food restaurants, or even the sound of the ice cream van. On a side note, if you are interested in undertaking our evidence-based and results-backed personalized Plato weight management program, please click the link in the top right hand corner of the video or follow the link in the description. Moving forward, another reason why food cravings may arise is actually by trying to avoid a food that you particularly like completely, or by its scientific term, selective food deprivation. Evidence that demonstrates this can be seen in a review by Mule in 2020. In it, Mule showed that of the 8 studies that were included on selective food deprivation, 7 resulted in the participants having greater desires to eat the foods they weren't allowed to have. Indeed, it's true that these results of selective food deprivation promoting cravings conflict with the evidence showing that dieting reduces cravings that we spoke about at the onset of the video. But this might come back to the importance of moderation regarding realistic long-term dietary changes. Of course, too much of certain foods we prefer won't allow us to lose weight. Yet their complete exclusion may cause the intensity of cravings for them foods to build up over time, eventually leading to overindulgence. This then leads us to the question of why completely avoiding a certain food heightens your cravings for it. Well, it could be simply because you'll think about it more. And this effect applies to anything, not just diet. The more you try to suppress thoughts, the more you'll incite them. The most famous psychological study that showed this is known as the White Bear study, carried out way back in 1987. In it, one group of subjects were asked to speak about whatever came to their mind for 5 minutes, but were explicitly informed not to think of a white bear. If by chance it did cross their minds though, they were to ring a bell. Following the experiment, it was found that, on average, these participants thought about a white bear more than once per minute. Now compare this to the exercise the researchers gave a different group of participants in the study, where this time they were asked to think of a white bear. Funnily enough, it was demonstrated that the group who were informed not to think of a white bear had far more white bear thoughts than the group that was told to think of one. Finally, the last cause of food cravings that we'll be discussing today is, interestingly, down to our personality traits. It's proposed that there are 5 core personality traits. These are agreeableness, openness, extroversion, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. The characteristics of each trait can be seen here. Notably, each trait has its pole, meaning that your level for each is on a spectrum from low to high. For instance, individuals high in extroversion like to be the life of the party, while those who are low in extroversion are more introverted. So how do personality traits relate to food cravings? Well, one 2021 study conducted in Indonesia found that when comparing the effects of all personality traits on food cravings, people high in neuroticism were over a whopping 9 times as likely to experience food cravings versus people low in this trait, and this result was statistically significant. According to the researchers, the potential reason for this is that people with high neuroticism have more difficulty controlling their habits. In contrast, people low in it are better able to manage stress, happiness, and optimism. Overall, food cravings are the desire to eat a particular type of food that is largely brought on by food cues, complete restrictions of certain foods you like, and possibly just down to who you are as a person. Even though personality traits can change, they are largely stable, so it might be a tall order, to say the least, to alter them solely to potentially decrease your food cravings. Therefore, the factors here you'll want to focus your efforts on to help manage food cravings better are portion control of foods you like and limiting food cues as much as possible. Of course, for food cues, this is easier said than done, for sure. But think about opting out of delivery service promotions that you get via email or texts. Choosing healthier alternatives that will still satisfy your cravings, such as having air pop popcorn instead of cinema popcorn, for example. And turning off certain ads you get through social media platforms. Have you any other effective techniques to better control food cravings? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. So that has been our video. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.